Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Bookbreakrs podcast. I'm joined as ever by the fountains of reason, Paul and Enda. How are you lads?
Oh, yeah.
How are you
Um,
getting on?
so today we're going to review basically the opening games in Euro 2020. The lads are going to have a look at, what's happened to date and how that compares with some of their predictions prior to the tournament kicking off, and then we'll just talk about who we think is going to get out of the groups, and in what order really, because a lot of the groups 3 will get out, so there isn't basically one team loses out in 4 of the groups. So let's kick off then. So we'll start off with you, Enda, in Group A. So do you want to give us your thoughts on how that's gone so far?
My thoughts on that's how it's gone so far. I think I wasn't the only one that said Turkey might be a dark horse, but they're dark, all right. They're dark. They're good for nothing. The Hoors. Wales are sitting pretty in that group. They'll go through second, I think, and Italy will win. Italy have been very impressive. They've been very impressive. They've been very together. Like, all these World Cup winning teams, all these Euro winning teams from back in the day. There's always a story about this thing brought us together, that thing brought us together. We were all together. Well, these boys are all together. They're running off the field, celebrating with their teammates. I think the biggest. They don't have a massive number 10 anymore. They don't have all the shoulder and the weight on Totti or Del Piero or Baggio. And if he doesn't fire, where's Goose? They're all kind of, I wouldn't say ordinary, but they're all kind of workhorses working for the team, and they have a solid defense. And them two, those two wing or right back, right and left back, they're bombing on with abandon, and they're like they give Chilwell and Trent Alexander-Arnold a good run for the money anyway. And they're the story of the tournament so far for me. Wales are better than I thought they were as well. To be honest, I see Italy going through 1 and Wales going through 2.
Yeah.
I don't see a third place coming out of that group.
Yes, indeed. Turkey, I have to say, they came into it with the best defensive record in qualification. They had 8 clean sheets, I think it was, and they looked like if you gathered 11 basketball players and just told them go out there and represent Turkey
out of the square on a Sunday.
Yeah, they can't pass, they can't run, they can't do anything. It's amazing, really. Paul, Group A, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd go along with what Enda said. I mean, for me, probably the big surprise has been Wales. I really didn't give them much hope of kind of repeating their feat from a few years ago, but fair play. It just goes to show like that heart and determination will get you a long way in life, really.
They're very much in the mold of Ireland, aren't they? In years gone by.
They are, yeah. I mean, they have one, probably you could say, world-class player in Gareth Bale, who hasn't really been the main driving force behind them so far. He's been good, but I think Aaron Ramsey in the game against Turkey. Sorry, I think he was fantastic. Kind of the forgotten man. I think we probably will see him back in the Premiership next season. Italy again. I mean, I didn't realize until it was mentioned the other night that Italy have now gone 10 international games without conceding a goal, which
26 wins in a row.
Is it that much? Yeah,
26 wins in a row, and we didn't talk about them at all before the start of the thing.
Yeah, is it wins or unbeaten?
Well, granted, a lot of the games that they haven't conceded goals in out of that 10 were against poor sides.
Absolutely,
but it doesn't matter. Clean sheet's a clean sheet, really, isn't it? So
it gives you momentum, doesn't it? And I'd say one thing Wales have in common with Italy is they also seem to have a lot of spirit, and they seem to be having a bit of fun. Well, Italy seems to be having fun anyway, but Wales, like Bale, I was really interested to see how he'd fare the other night, and because I just thought, he may not deliver the goods here, but even though he's not on top form, right up until the 90th minute, he was making runs, and
he's a quality player, isn't he? You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was interested just before the end of the season. He was asked about his future, and he said he wasn't going to. He knew what he was doing, but he wasn't going to mention it because it disrupts Wales' Euro plans. Is he going to retire? Is this his last hurrah? That's what I think it is.
You beat me to it. A few pundits
Yeah.
have said this. He looks like a man who's just lost the fire, and the only thing that can kind of keep him going really is the whole Welsh national kind of vibe, But
Yeah,
talk to
I
the
think
two
so.
Spurs fans. Talk to the two Spurs fans I know though, and they'd have him at the drop of a hat, even though he's in and out in form. Like, I don't know.
He was like, I saw him play some games for Spurs last season, and Mourinho didn't. It was only when
Mourinho left.
Ryan Mason took over and he started playing Bale, and like he's still electric when he wants to be. The question is, how often does he want to be anymore?
Yeah, but there's something. There was something funny as well there, Paul, last season. Like he arrived at Spurs, but like he barely played an hour's football in the first 3 or 4 months. So like, is there still injuries there, or like what?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a well kind of known fact that he's a massive golf fan. Now, whether he's any good at golf or not, I don't know. But if you're playing as much of it as he seems, then the chances are he is. I wonder is his big announcement that he's going to switch from football to golf.
Go ahead.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm putting my money anyway.
Cool.
But I mean, again, Italy to win the group,
to come in on your point. Sorry to interrupt, Paul.
Yeah, go on.
Come in on your point again, Ella. Like Ireland back in the day, the sum of their parts makes a greater team, because it's the lesser known players. I mean, who heard of the guy up front? And they're talking about they're talking about bringing him to the Premiership now.
Kiefer Moore,
Kiefer Moore. Yeah, I thought that Nico Williams, your man from Liverpool, would be playing, and the fella they have there, whoever he is, the blondie fella, I can't even remember his name. He's been very good.
Yeah.
Joe Allen seems to reinvent himself every time he puts on a Wales jersey.
Joe Allen was about 40. I didn't even realise he was still playing football.
Yeah, I actually looked that up before the game the last night.
He's not that old.
Before I made my prediction, because I thought, hang on, it's 35 degrees. How old is this fella? He's only 31 or something.
I know, yeah. He just seems to have been around for donkey's years.
Yeah. Right, lads, we'll move on to last 2 games. So Italy, Wales, Switzerland, Turkey. Do you want to quickly?
I mean, I'd have to go for Italy, but I mean, not massively confidently, I must say. I think Italy's his clean sheet record might go in this one. It was a bit worrying probably with Chiellini coming off injured as well.
Yeah.
Last night, I don't know how serious that is.
They kind of have it between them though, so you could see a bit of a dead rubber.
Yeah. It's possible. Although I would imagine.
Yeah,
but then again, Wales are just on a high now. You know yourself, when the little teams get going, it is hard. It can be hard to stop that momentum.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. So Italy, Wales, and then Turkey. I think we're saying, or Switzerland. Switzerland might.
Yeah, I think as Enda said, I don't think we'll be seeing the best third place team coming from that group.
Yeah. What's that based on? Is that just?
I think it's because if you remember back to I like vividly remember the 1990 World Cup, and that was in Ireland's group. I think pretty sure Ireland went through as the best third place team. It's when you have a 24. I don't. It must be on points. It's clearly done on points, and then obviously it'll go down to maybe goal difference.
I think it will
to that effect.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because there'll probably be a lot of teams that end with like 4-3 or whatever. So it might be goals for then or something after that. But
yeah,
I must check that out. Okay, lads, we'll move on to Group B then. Belgium, Russia, Finland, and Denmark. Paul, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Belgium have won earlier today. That's 2 wins out of 2. That's them into the next round. No great surprises there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, everyone knows what happened to Christian Eriksen the other day, which was you know, and I think I might have mentioned it to you guys in a message the other day, but there was something on I saw something on Twitter, and I thought about it a bit more. The comment on Twitter was, cameramen will switch away from a streaker on the field, but they'll show a guy getting CPR on him. But it goes a bit beyond that as well, because if you think, there's been numerous serious injuries in football over the years when somebody has obviously broken a leg, and you know there's a bone sticking out or something, and they never show it. But
Yeah.
what they showed, and I don't know who made that decision the other day, but it was one of those things that you don't want to see, but when it's on, you just can't take your eyes off. It was disturbing, to say the least. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to have had an effect on Denmark, and it's a bit of an odd group when you look at it. I mean, there's other than Belgium, there's no quality in it. So it's probably a bit of a lottery as to who comes out in second. In fact, Denmark could still actually qualify from that group, just the way the fixtures remain in it. You know, you'd
Yeah,
assume.
but minus 2 goal difference though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's the teams that they have to play as well. They could all end up on 3 points, and you know the third place team in the other group. I don't really
Yeah.
like that format, to be honest with you. The best
Yeah, it'll
third
probably go
place
down.
team.
I see it going down between goal difference between Finland and Denmark, and basically based on the fact that Denmark are at minus 2 now, I have Finland going through in third.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think without Ericsson as well, I think they lack that bit of
Yeah,
creativity.
They do.
Like,
I was watching a
it's a
bit of the
big blow.
game. I was watching a bit of the game earlier, and Denmark played brilliantly. Martin Braithwaite, wow,
Thomas Delaney as well. I think
put in
what I
some
heard.
performance, yeah. And I think it was a really interesting game with respect to the championships and who might go on to win it, because Belgium didn't really show much, but defensively they were fairly sound, and then they just sprung the bench. Witzel, Eden Hazard, De Bruyne, and De Bruyne. I mean, what a player! Just that second goal was luscious.
I have to say, it's pained me now the last couple of games watching Belgium to see Lukaku and the player that he is. You know, to say that we let him go to replace him with nobody.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it's ridiculous. Really,
Yeah.
he's got pace. His touch seems to have improved, which is probably his biggest issue, I would say. You know,
but they play
his
to his
finishing
strengths.
is.
Like
Yeah, well, that's it. But
they never
That's
did in
what you do.
United, and instead of, and he was their top scorer. So you'd imagine if a guy is your top scorer, you're going to base your game around him and saying, well, he's our top scorer, he doesn't suit us, we'll sell him. Like, that's daft.
But
Yeah.
I do. This is Belgium's last chance, I think, to, you know, with that group of players to win a trophy. I think in 2 years' time, or it's a year's time now, isn't it?
Next year, yeah.
World Cup.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe actually, because it's only a year,
Like,
you never know.
Hazard could be back in form by then and half a stone lighter, so you wouldn't know.
Well, I was just going to say, Lukaku, you know, he left United with a bit of a weight issue. He doesn't have that now. Like, he's still a beast, but he looks trim. He's obviously eating well in Italy.
He's sharp.
Okay, listen, Enda, do you want to come in with anything else on that group? Because we probably need to skip through them.
Finland third for me, that's about it. And Belgium and Russia to come out top. Belgium are playing well, that's all.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so Group C then, Netherlands, Austria, which is on right now, and
1-0
Ukraine
to the Dutch.
Is it already? Orange?
Is, yeah.
Yeah. Enda, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I have Netherlands and Ukraine to come out of that, and Austria to come out third, and I have them to go into the quarterfinals as well, or the last 16 as well. Because they've already 3 points, but they've a +2 goal difference. Like,
how did you
plus
predict that at the start? Was that what you had?
I had Netherlands and Ukraine, but I didn't have Austria coming out third.
Yeah.
I didn't have Austria going into the third groups, will I?
Right. Okay. And what's your view on the game so far? Netherlands look like they're doing a good bit of attacking anyway. I don't know about defending.
They do. I don't think. I think they. I won't take. I don't think they'll. Like, where have I got me spider here? Like, I don't think. Like, I think they'll get through the last 16, but they won't get past the quarters. I don't think they have it up front.
Yeah.
I think if they can unearth a striker for next year.
That's where I think they have it, is up front. I think they're midfield is a little bit lighter than it should be. I
Yeah.
think the lit is back for them tonight. He was injured or suspended for the first
Yeah.
game,
He was injured.
and they did look. I mean, that could have finished it anyway. That game. I mean, they're still my outsiders for the tournament, but I
Yeah.
think they've got some good attacking players.
Yeah, it was 3-2 against Ukraine, but it could have been 4-0 at half time. Like, they mauled Ukraine
Yeah.
in the first half. That guy Dumfries.
And then they went
looks
back to 2-2.
good.
Like,
Yeah, they could have lost it just as easily. Yeah,
They could. I think I predicted the draw on it, and I was very
So did I.
upset. Very upset. Paul, do you have anything else to add on Group C?
not really. It's another one of those kind of uninspiring groups, really, isn't it? You know, I like Holland. There's something about Holland that, you know, as
They
a
play the right
football
way, don't
team,
they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and they've such a history, and they always manage. Like, it's a small country. It's a very, very small country with a not very big population, who consistently get to finals and the latter stages of tournaments. Even with, you see that team there's got, like, the likes of Patrick Van Aanholt, who's been at, small.
Yeah.
Out of contract in Crystal
Premier
Palace.
League. Yeah, again, one of many players that are, but, like, they're just good. They're a good team. Yeah, and I still think they'll do well in the
But they're a
tournament.
bit like New Zealand, aren't they? All they play is football, really, apart from a bit of hockey.
Well, I was just going to say that hockey. Yeah, I think, and darts, of course.
Yes, of course.
Darts isn't a sport, lads. Move on. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so Frank de Boer is under a bit of pressure as well, so it'll be very interesting to see how far he can get them. Okay, let's move on then. Group D. So England, Scotland, Croatia, Czech Republic. Paul, what you make of England?
Yeah, I mean, at first the team selection I thought was surprising. I was very, very, very disappointed in Croatia. I mean, I thought, when I looked at the Croatian side prior to the game, and I looked at the English team prior to the game, I thought Croatia could win this. They were never going to win it, though. I mean, they didn't really create much with players like, Rebic and Perisic, and, I know Modric is pushing on, but he's still a quality player.
He was running around in the shade, though, so I think the ears are catching up on him. It was a very hot day, and that was definitely one of the factors.
Perisic is moving on too, as well, though.
Yeah.
But the same. But again, it's, you might say the same about Ronaldo, and if you look after yourself, 32 isn't old in football terms anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Modric is 35.
32 isn't old for a defender. It isn't old for kind of a holding midfielder. But if you've anywhere where you're dependent on pace, you're screwed. And I think, Perisic, Perisic especially, like,
Yeah.
I don't know that they really play in a,
Classic
in a,
4-4-2,
they're not bombing down the wings or anything like that. I just think he's a quality player, and they just didn't deliver. And I have my doubts now as to whether they'll actually come second in the group, which I thought they probably would. But I mean,
maybe they'll come last, which was a prediction of mine.
Well, was it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think Scotland, England tomorrow night. You can't see anything but an England win there. But again, Scotland probably on average a more talented side than the Welsh have, but they don't have the spirit.
Yeah.
Which is strange, really. And I don't know.
They have notions, and always have for a team that does nothing. Funnily enough, I think it's going to be a draw tomorrow night.
Ooh.
Really? Yeah. I just don't see it.
And I see the Czech Republic drawing with them as well. I see the Czech Republic coming out top of that group and England coming second.
The man's gone mad.
Interesting. Yeah, the Czechs did very well against Scotland.
The Czechs have the hard work done. Scotland will be 110% raring to go to stop England.
What a goal that guy scored
over
against Scotland. Patrick
Yeah,
Schick. What a goal.
To see all the memes with the goalie.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm gonna go head to head with you on that one, and I think if England turn up and they, avoid turning it into, you know, an emotional battle, I think they could tonk Scotland 3-4-0.
I think their manager is gone full Pep. I think he went full Pep the last day with the team selection, and Calvin Phillips got him out of it. What a player, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think he's gone full Pep, and I think it's good. The wheels are coming off.
And just for the couple of new followers that we might pick up this week, can you explain what full Pep means?
Full Pep means thinking you're way too smart for your trousers and picking a team that God only knows what was going on. He picked a right back at left back.
Yeah, but here's what he also did, right? Here's what he also did. They always go into these tournaments and they end up drawing the first game, and then they're under pressure from the off. He's managed to get a win. However he did it, and now the only way is up, I think.
Yeah, the only way is up. I agree with that. But I think the Czechs are in the driving seat in that group, to be honest.
Cool. All right, let's take a little break from the groups there, and we'll have a quick look at the private league. So we're running a private league on the Bookbreakrs app for the Euros, free to enter. It has closed now, so you can't join, I'm afraid, if you wanted to join. And there's a 500 quid prize pot. The top 4 players get paid, and it's based on profitability. So make predictions, and you know, you can make predictions on match result, both to score, over under 2.5, and the double chance markets. So let's just have a quick look at that and see how guys are doing. So you can see it here on the left. So I'll do well to pronounce that name, but Ntima Ikua is leading with 56% win rate and 100 plus 130 profit, which is fairly impressive now, I have to say. I think they were on Finland. So
there was a couple of long
yeah.
shots there, yeah, like Slovakia to beat Poland, I think was another one.
Yeah. But you can see further down the win percentages are quite high now, so it's definitely not over, especially with 4 markets per game. So be interesting to see how we get on. So private leagues is a feature within the app. You can play the standard competitions, which are also free to enter. But if you want to have a private league with your friends or whatever, and just each of you can put, you know, 10, 20 quid into the pot, and you know, it's a good way to have a bit of fun. So I have the market up here as well for the England game, England Scotland. So England heavy favourites, Scotland 11-1, just over 11-1. I think that's about right, to be fair. But we shall see come tomorrow evening. Right, we'll move on. So we'll go to Group E. So what is that? Slovakia, Spain, Sweden, and Poland. Interesting first couple of games. And what did you make of that? Spain
are toothless.
Yeah.
We're going back to tiki-taki for tiki-taki.
Yeah.
If they destroy, but they're a young team, I suppose. Your man Pedri seems to be the common thing.
How old is he?
He's only 18 or 19,
I think.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd see Slovakia coming out at the top of the group. To be honest, on cutting edge.
Okay.
And I don't, and I see probably Poland coming out third of it.
Yeah, Poland were a mega disappointment.
Yeah.
They were so
I mean,
bad.
but you know, the reality of it is, do they rely on one player?
Well, they do. They do, but the problem they have is actually getting people close to him. He's just not used to running around all the time. You know, usually he's just on the shoulder getting great service, and in this team he gets no service. Paul,
imagine if he had been born on the other side of the border, right? Imagine a Lewandowski in that German side.
Yeah, and I'm sure he might have thought about it, because didn't he grow up in Germany? I think. Okay, so Paul.
I mean, I'd slightly disagree with Spain. Yes, they struggled to score against Sweden, but they absolutely battered them. I think they at one stage they had 89% possession. I don't know. I know it finished up in the 80s you might argue that they didn't do anything with it. Again, I think they're lacking a top quality striker. Morata, never really been convinced with him, to be honest with you. He scores
Anywhere he's played.
maybe 10, 15 goals a season, most seasons, but he's been playing in some of the best teams in the world who create the most chances, and that's not a good enough return.
Okay.
They're not the force they used to be, but I still see them coming through that group as winners, to be honest with you.
Spain and Slovakia for you, or Spain and Sweden?
I think it'll be close. I think Spain will win it, and it'll be Sweden. Slovakia will probably end up on the same points, really. But then again, maybe Lewandowski will get Poland up and running. You don't know. I think, but I do. Spain will go through. I'm certain.
Yeah. The Poles had a man sent off as well, and they were probably just heating up the last night when that happened. So yeah, maybe we're being too harsh on them. Right. Let's jump on then to Group F, final group. Let's just talk about France Germany, will we? Because I thought that was a brilliant game the last time.
I just like every time I see Kylian Mbappe, I just think he is. We've had this conversation in the past about people suggesting that Marcus Rashford is world class. Kylian Mbappe is world class. He is. I don't think he has the ability. He has.
I don't think anyone thinks Marcus Rashford's world class. I think
I'm
not having a slight on him, because I actually like him as a player, but he's definitely not world class right now anyway. But he's he can be good. But Mbappe, has he hulked up as well? Has he? He's like, he used to be a little whippet and lightning quick. Now he's lightning quick, and he looks like a
Yeah, he is. He's fairly big. I don't know. He's kind of got one of those like kind of broad heads, so maybe that's deceptive. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I just love watching him. He's unbelievably talented. And he does add goals to the mix as well.
Yeah.
That's a funny one. Yeah, sorry.
Like you have the other thing as well is you have Pogba so brilliant, but Kante's, and why doesn't he do it for United? Kante is sitting there doing the job of three men. It's easy for Pogba to be as good as he is.
I like Rabiot as well. I know we've discussed it in the past. He's been linked with United. He's very good player. I think he went off injured though, but
been linked with
look
Liverpool
at the talent that they have. And this is the like one of the, I was just saying it to the wife the other night when the match was on. It's like, how good must France be that they can afford to let Laporte go and play for Spain? Because he's not good enough to get into their squad. Like it's bizarre, because I think Laporte's a great defender.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get capped for France.
How did you rate the game the last time overall?
Again, I fancied France. I fancy France to make the final. It's between them and Portugal to win it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I think the Germans, again, as I said, lacking a serious striker. I like Werner. He came on. It was a bit of a strange. He kind of started with this false nine system again. There's none of the three players who were up front are really an out and out striker. He had Gnabry, Muller, and I can't even remember who else was
Havertz.
Havertz. Yeah, none of them out and out strikers really.
Yeah.
That's something I don't like. I don't like that system. Pep started that, and Pep, I'm sick of Pep, to be honest with you.
It was Del Bosque started it as well, didn't it?
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Pep anyway, so while we're on it. Yeah. But some odd things in it, like Rudiger biting Pogba and the guy parachuting into the stadium and the thing hitting Deschamps on the head. And what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then there's actually, I read something today about Pogba went into the crowd and handed his shirt to somebody. So he's potentially broken COVID protocols and he might get banned or something. Oh, God, it's why the world is going nuts.
And then what's his face? Giroud said something to Mbappe about the way he eats or something. Or that's the only thing I think that could happen with France. They could all be a big
before.
So lads,
before, haven't they?
Let's give me your review on the Germany game, or the German-France game.
I still think Germany go far in the competition. They just lack a bit of cutting edge up front.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to knockouts, like anything can happen.
Yeah. I was watching it and
I put it this way: I'm less hope. I was very bullish about Germany at the start. I'm less hopeful now.
Gee, I'm the opposite. I watched that game. I thought Germany bossed.
I still have them getting to the final and winning, but I might fight it that I did out today.
But they bossed that game for long periods, and if they had a striker, they could easily have won it. And I thought it was interesting as well that like their subs really let them down. They brought on Sané, Volland, and
Emre Can.
And who else did they bring on?
Yeah.
They brought on someone like Werner. Oh my God, Werner! He was so awfully bad. So
I don't think he was caught off.
And he still could have scored.
He passed the ball out of play at one point, like, and there was no one around him. I was like, what is gone wrong with this guy? But basically, they brought on 3 subs who did nothing, and I think that was a pointer to the game was actually a really competitive game. And I think we saw the 2 best sides potentially in the tournament there the last day. So I think it'd be interesting to see where we go from here.
And the way the group is going as well, Portugal have got a good goal difference against Hungary now. Do you see Germany getting as many goals against Hungary? I don't know. But that'll put France and Germany on opposite sides of the draw.
Yeah.
But like a moment to appreciate Cristiano Ronaldo still doing it, like at the very, very highest level.
Did nothing for 88 minutes, but then still doing it in 89 minutes.
The great players, they turn games, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Like he's just, it's unheard of.
You fancy Portugal to win it, Paul? So what did you make of them?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, I only saw the highlights of it, and they did struggle against Hungary, and I didn't see the Hungarian goal. It was disallowed. It was a bit controversial, apparently. But at the end of the day, you beat who they put in front of you. They won 3-0 in their opening game. If you score in the first minute, the 92nd minute, doesn't really matter. You scored and won. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I don't think Germany will go far, but I want to see Portugal and get against France in the group. I think that's going to be a real indicator of who's going to win it.
Cool. All right, lads, we need to draw a line under it there. Be interesting to see now whether Germany can follow up that performance against Portugal. That'll be a tasty game. Thanks for your time, lads, and we shall reconvene next week with another update. And we'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheerio.
Peace.